So I got the audio and the video today, family, of a young brother who was 7 years old, a second grader at C. Paul Barnhart Elementary School in Maryland. He was hung in a bathroom stall by a fourth grader. And it's to my knowledge that fourth graders are typically 10 years old. So now the school district and the school are trying to flip the narrative and say that they was horseplaying this, that, or the other, when it wasn't no horseplaying. I ain't buying that, you know what I mean? This young brother was hung by that older student, and the school district is on the hook for this. And that young kid that hung him should be certainly on the hook for something. Some kind of punishment should be brought to him, because this is nonsense. And I don't like how the school district is trying to flip the narrative on this whole thing. So I got the audio and the video of this, and we're going to walk through it and talk about it how we normally do. Fair use.
After an incident at a local elementary school. The mother's post about this online has since gone viral. Meanwhile, the school district is saying the students were, quote, horseplaying.
Yeah,
Our
horseplaying my
Alexis
ass.
Wainwright spoke with those parents exclusively and shares their story tonight. Alexis?
Well, Simone, I spoke with the parents who say they're angry, hurt, and confused, but they're also thankful that their son is still here. And tonight they're calling for transparency and answers from the Charles County Public School District.
If you look at my son, he has marks under his eyes, like blood vessels.
He still has
From him,
bruises on his neck from being choked.
It's hard to hide emotion as these two parents who don't want to be identified talk about their son. They're hoping for answers after they say their son was hung by a fourth grade student in the boys' bathroom Friday.
He's traumatized. It's going to take time. This is not something that he's going to get over just overnight.
Paperwork from the hospital lists one of his injuries as a neck contusion, which is caused by blunt trauma to the neck. The 7-year-old
See,
is
family, a neck contusion. That's consistent with there being some kind of trauma or some kind of something inflicted to the neck. That is consistent with a hanging or something done to the neck. So yeah, I ain't buying it. Horse playing my ass. This school district just putting it out there as horse playing the eyes of the public because they don't want to catch no blowback and have to be on the hook for this. Because they know that this happened because their failure to have a system in place that could deter this from happening. Their stupidity and neglect of the whole situation caused this to happen because, in the school system, you ain't supposed to have the older students around, the younger students, you're supposed to keep them quarantined off. You got fourth graders with the fourth graders, fifth graders with the fifth graders, so on and so forth, because that's the bully mentality. With older kids, they certainly going to prey upon the younger ones because they view them as weak, and that goes back to that whole bullying thing. But let's continue.
Second grader at C. Paul Barnhart Elementary School in Waldorf. Charles County Public Schools says they're aware of the incident and sent a statement saying, in part, 2 of our students were reportedly horseplaying in a school bathroom when one student's jacket got caught on a stall door hook.
Horseplay my ass. They keep on saying horseplay. Another thing is to try to minimize the whole severity of this whole situation because they don't want this to fall on their laps at the school and the school district. They don't want to be held accountable for this. So in order for them to try to minimize the severity of this act, they trying to flip it to being horseplay. This ain't no damn horseplay. That fourth grader hung our young brother.
Free themselves, and the other student involved was also not able to help them.
It doesn't make sense to me. If you're horseplaying, how do you get caught on the hook? We need answers. I want answers, and we won't stop until we get answers.
And now the parents say they're sharing their side of the story in hopes of preventing this from happening to anyone else.
My son did tell me that when they were in the bathroom, he said that the little boy told him, "I'm going to show you how I did people back in the day."
You heard that, family? That was very, very telling right there. The fourth grader, who was probably about 10 years old, told our young brother, who was 7 years old, that he going to do him how he did people back in the day. And that right there, to me, my black senses started going off. I think that this could possibly even have a racialized component to it. It could have been a white student or some non-black student that, got some kind of racial bias or anti-blackness and done this because our young brother was black. So we got to keep our eyes on that aspect as well. This could have been a black hate crime, and the school certainly don't want that to fall on their laps, so and typically they don't put out the pictures of any of younger people that commit violent or heinous acts either. They keep their pictures from being out there in the press and out there on the forefront. Unless you black. If you black and you young and you commit some kind of crime, alleged crime, they quick, fast, and in a hurry to put your picture out there. But if you somebody from the dominant white society, they don't do that kind of thing. And another thing, if it wasn't something with a racialized component, it's certainly a lack of stupidity on the part of the school, because they should have had measures in place that would ensure that this kind of thing wasn't happening. You don't have no fourth graders and older kids around younger kids, because they're gonna prey on the weak. That goes back to that whole bullying thing, like I said earlier. But let's continue.
Like it's bullying because it's no telling how many other kids this has happened to.
And they want the school district to step up.
I want to see a policy in place. I would like to see at least hallway monitors. I want to know why is a fourth grader in the same hallway or the same bathroom as the second grader. Most schools have them divided. I feel like this is very unacceptable.
These are all our children, and they are the
And
future.
like the sister was saying, she wants some kind of measures in place on the part of the school district, and her needs need to be met, because it's certainly a lack of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding on the school part, because they ain't even have no damn home monitors, to deter this kind of nonsense from happening. And the school's on the hook too, if you ask me, because this was done on their watch because of they lack of knowledge and stupidity on their part. So this could have all been prevented. So the school's on the hook, and the family most definitely got a hefty lawsuit on their hands, because our young brother is now traumatized from this whole ordeal. So I know, in all actuality, money ain't going to make things better, because the young brother's still traumatized. He was hurt, and that stuff is probably still stuck in his mind, but it could also lessen the blow and be a benefit to the family as well. And we certainly need to know the young student who done this, but I know they ain't gonna put his picture out there, but he certainly needs to be held accountable for his transgressions. Some kind of punishment got to be brought upon that young student, young or not, because certain things, when you get, even if you young, certain things ain't true, right, and exact, and if you just doing them, you just doing them because you want to do them. Because at a certain age, about 10 years old, yeah, that might be young, but you still know right from wrong. You still got God given sense. But something certainly need to be in place to ensure that this don't happen in the future to none of these young students. And if you ask me, the school district is on the hook, and the family got a hefty lawsuit. And also this young fourth grader who done this needs to be held accountable and brought to the forefront, and his family needs held accountable.
These are all our children, and they are the future. So we just we need to protect them. Like, we're sending our kids to schools every day thinking that they are safe.
And the 7-year-old has since been released from the hospital and is still recovering. His parents tell me they won't be returning back to school, but they hope to hear more updates from the district soon.
They shouldn't be returning back to that school. But I say this all the time on my channel. I see an influx of this family, especially when black kids go to these public school systems. I see all kind of wickedness being done to our black youth. And this is why I'm a big advocate of homeschooling, if you got the ability to do so. I say it all the time, because homeschooling, you can control to a certain degree what the kids are learning. You can better equip them for having real world skills to go out here and applicate into this world to make some money for themselves and become a success. You can instill a black mind in them. But the only downside to public schools, if you ask me, is that the kids don't get too much interaction with other youths. But you can still take them out there to like parks and stuff and get them, acclimated to dealing with other kids, letting them run around in the community. So that ain't nothing but a thing. That ain't really no setback either. It's just something, that's a little bit of a downside, that they don't be acclimated to dealing with the interactions with other youth. But you can still take them out into the community, because homeschooling is the better option if you got the ability to do so, because these public school systems, they just pass kids on. They ain't really worried for the most part about teaching no black youth. And if we're homeschooling them, we can control a great deal of this, you know what I mean? And then they won't be subject to all this kind of other nonsense and all these kind of other agendas nowadays that they trying to press and push into the schools, you know what I mean? To get kids, just to have our youth on some other kind of nonsense, you know what I mean? Because it's a whole bunch of wicked agendas now being promoted in schools too. And if you homeschool your kid, you can control all of this to a certain degree. But I want to say, my condolences goes out to the family, and I hope that this young brother who was 7 has a quick and speedy recovery. And the school district needs to be, brought up and held accountable. And also this student who was a fourth grader also needs to be held accountable to some kind of punishment because young or not, at a certain age, you know good, right, and well what you're doing. Just my thoughts on the matter. Peace.